Hey, buddy. You okay? You've been staring at that wall for quite a bit. Not quite sure what to get? Wait a minute. Hold on, turn this way for a moment. I know that look. This is your first time here, isn't it? Got that whole daze, that look of you're lost, not quite sure what's going on, but don't worry, this happens all the time. I'm here to help. But welcome. Welcome to the Kaz Bar. Before we begin, I think I should give you a bit of a guide on like what you can expect here. Because like you said, this is your first time. Also, let's see, where did I put that thing? Ah, here we go. Here's a nice little menu. Give it a quick look and you'll be able to see what it is exactly we have here. And don't worry, I've especially prepared this for people like you, so you can get a bit of an understanding as to where you are right now. Let's take a look. Don't worry, just sit back and relax. First drink's on me. So, hello. To introduce myself, my name is Kaz, and you are in the Kaz Bar. Located in the convergence point between worlds is the Kaz Bar, an establishment of unknown origin with its owner, yours truly, an equally mysterious individual who only wishes to serve and welcome any lost soul that wanders into his bar, provided that you do not inconvenience the other customers. He serves with a little magic and a smile, all while taking advantage of the bar's unique location to take his patrons on various adventures through different video game worlds, ranging from the mundane yet relaxing grind to the outrageous yet thrilling action sequences. Patrons of the Kaz Bar are always in for good drinks and a good time. And yeah, there, a little bit of a hello and introduction of who I am. But this is all very mysterious to you, and I'm pretty sure you want to know something more than just my reputation. Let's move on to the next page then. So again, hello, my name is Kaz, and no, I do not have a last name. Just call me Kaz, it's fine. And I am a multiverse bartender. Yes, the multiverse exists, and thankfully I am witness to all the possibilities and all the worlds that exist out there. You're not the weirdest patron we've had today, and I don't think you ever will be. We get a whole number of people that come in every single day, but I'm not gonna treat you any different, don't worry. I will treat you with the same level of service, with the same smile. My height, I am a somewhat short 5'9" or 170 centimeters, depending on what part of the world you are and what metric system you use. As for my birthday, I was born on April 28, which makes me a Taurus, and I'm referring to Taurus by the old calendar standards, not that new one, which still confuses the heck out of me. My nationality is Filipino, although despite me having been very familiar with the country, I speak more English than I do my mother language. So yeah. And as you can see, that your language is English and Tagalog, although my Tagalog is very rusty, and you can expect that I speak that more with an accent than I would my English. As for my preferred color, you can use the hex code right there on the screen. And that is hashtag 0017A9. That very specific blue is what you can see on my necktie, my beanie, and the letters K and B of the Kaz Bar. Okay, so this is gonna be a bit of a hefty thing to throw at you, but here are some of my likes, and there's a lot to go through. Trust me, this is 2 pages worth. But yeah, so very much I like anime, manga, video games, a lot of things, but I just want to give a few special mentions to the stuff that I do specifically like, catering specifically to my tastes. First thing on the list I'd like to talk about is AKB 0048. And that is a very interesting anime for someone like me, because I wasn't very much into the idol genre, but the fact that they mixed in idol with space fights, kind of like Macross, but on a very, very different level. I'm not saying that it's the best anime, but it was very interesting. It was such a wild ride to watch, so I highly recommend it. In the same vein, we have Love Live, and although that's a more mundane idol experience, it is kind of what ultimately shot me into the whole idol experience in the first place. And lo and behold, I'm also a huge fan of Hololive as a result. My Hero Academia, probably one of the very few shonen anime that I actually follow from like start to finish. Like, well, not start to finish, but I followed from episode 1. I don't watch a lot of big shonen anime. That's my phone. Please ignore the shark in the background. It's one of the few anime I've watched from start, from the very get-go, so I am not pressured to watch 100 episodes of fillers to catch up. Shikimori-san is a more recent example. I love animes that have a very different dynamic in terms of romance, and this was very hilarious and interesting, because for once it was the girl taking the lead instead of the guy. And, you know, it was an anime where the characters were already in a relationship, as opposed to the usual formula where you spend 10 episodes wondering will they, won't they, only for it to end on a cliffhanger by episode 12, and then you have to wait 3 years for another season. What was I talking about? Alright, let's go back to the anime. Hello, Fallout Firebar, and hello, Gaia. Welcome to the new patrons of the Kaz Bar on YouTube. I welcome you. Kaguya-sama. Very obvious, another example of romance anime that has changed the dynamic and is very hilarious in its own right. Then there's Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann will forever remain one of my favorite works from Studio Trigger, and honestly, probably the anime that I hold. Well, I know it was by Studio Gainax, but you know, Studio Trigger was their offshoot, their what kind of resulted after, and I will forever hold Studio Trigger up to that standard in terms of writing and animation quality, except for episode 4. We do not talk about episode 4 of Gurren Lagann. How freaking my parents are playing Baby Shark. Well, don't worry. That song will never make its way here or on the other branch of the Kaz Bar, which is on Twitch, which we will talk about later. Oreski. Oreski is definitely another romance anime I highly recommend. It was such a fun anime, and it completely subverts the expectations because of how you'd think it's your typical harem anime, and then just decides to like, yeah, let's make fun of it some more. Then we have Ghost Stories, Hellsing Ultimate, and Recreators. Those are some of my also all-time favorites. Ghost Stories is... Okay, I'm gonna give a disclaimer that Ghost Stories is probably one of the worst anime to love. It's a guilty pleasure. But if you're not one to shy away from black comedy, definitely give it a watch. And I'm referring specifically to the English dub. Don't watch the Japanese version. Watch the English dub. I don't care if you're gonna lack context on like what the show is about. Watch it. You don't need it. Trust me. Manga. There are really only 2 manga I have ever faithfully read. The actually second one on the list I need to catch up on. But they share one thing in common. Both of them were made by Ken Akamatsu. And interestingly enough, for those of you who don't know, Ken Akamatsu is actually one of the first mangaka to ever run for office in the government and won. I'd like to point out he actually has a seat in the party in Japan. It's like, whoa. But yeah, both of these were made by Ken Akamatsu, and honestly, I love the world building that Negima and Yuki Holder have. Sure, it's a harem anime and has like gratuitous amounts of fan service. We'll get more on that later. But honestly, I was willing to overlook it because of how good the actual the story was and the world building. It's something I read all the way back in high school and carried all the way to college. TV series, I'm gonna go through these really quick because we have a lot to cover and we're already like how many minutes in. TV series, lately I've been watching a lot of Grand Tour. I love, I'm not a humongous fan of cars, but I love how the show manages to talk about cars and vehicles in general while also keeping that level of comedy. And in connection to that, I also love the older series of Top Gear, the UK version. Then we have Law and Order. I have this weird obsession with stories like pertaining to crime and whatnot. I love crime stories. I love where they solve crimes. I love the thought process behind it, the critical thinking and all that. Just seeing all the evidence come together just really gets me. Other shows in the same vein, as you can see, are CSI and Criminal Minds. I think Criminal Minds might actually be my favorite because not only does it show like how they solve crimes, but they also try to analyze the psychology of the suspects. I love that aspect. And although I don't watch these shows religiously, I am not one to really decline a chance to watch it. So if I see it on TV, I will watch it. I'll just sit down and watch it. Hello, Chiharu. Welcome to the Kaz Bar. Wow, we're getting a lot of new people here today. Please take a seat. Don't worry, we haven't gone that far down into the menu yet, so you are welcome to catch up. Video games. Ooh, this is the most important part. Video games. So, on a broad aspect, I love a lot of games that have very specific requirements for gameplay and story. Gameplay has to hook me in. I don't care if someone tells me that the story is really, really great. If the gameplay doesn't hook me in, then I'm unfortunately gonna have to drop the game because I'd like to enjoy the experience. That said, you can now see what my tastes are in certain games. Let's start with JRPGs. So, the top 3 JRPGs that I enjoyed over time are the Tales of franchise. I have specifically played Tales of the Abyss, as in the OG Tales of the Abyss on the PS2. I have played Tales of Symphonia, the re-release anyway, Tales of Symphonia 2. I also played Tales of Xillia, which forever remains my favorite Tales title of all time. I also played the sequel, Xillia 2. There's Tales of Zestiria and Berseria, which kind of fell flat for me. And the most recent title, Tales of Arise, which was honestly such a breath of fresh air for the series. I loved it, and I highly commend the directors and the writers for that one because they made me fall in love with the franchise all over again. Second on the list, we have Persona 3, 4, and 5. Persona has been a very integral part of... Hold on, the music is like really loud in my head. I'm sorry. Let me lower the volume of the music. I cannot hear myself think. Okay, sorry about that. So, Persona 3, 4, and 5 has been a very huge part of my gameplay experience ever since college. I've had friendships, social links, as one might say, very much deeply, with a very deep bond that I've forged ever since college with some good friends. And the idea that it keeps pushing that really, even if you think you're alone, you're not. And in the end, like, the people you interact with, the connections you make are what kind of make you stronger. I love the Persona series so much, and I'm referring specifically to the Persona 3 games onwards because I never got to experience the original Shin Megami Tensei franchise. But playing Persona all the way, including the dance spin-offs. I particularly love the dance spin-offs because I know it's goofy, it makes no sense in the universe, but the music of Persona is a fucking jam. I love it. And I love rhythm games in general. Let's just include that there. Lastly, for JRPGs, we have Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV has been on my I've been streaming and playing Final Fantasy XIV for a long time. I've been playing the game for 5 years now. And I have streamed it on my Twitch channel, which we will talk more about later. I have streamed it for 3 years now. It was actually the very first game I streamed when I went solo. Action games. Yes, these two games count as action games. These very noticeable mentions are Scarlet Nexus and Devil May Cry. Scarlet Nexus, I know people are going to say it's a JRPG, but it was more action than JRPG actually. And it did feel a bit short, but then again, you have two different point of views to play through for that. And Devil May Cry, who doesn't love Devil May Cry at this point? Virgil, just I am the storm that is approaching. It's a meme for a reason. In a good way. FPS. There are 3 FPS that I am currently that I've recently been addicted to. Because although I love shooting games, I do not have the aim to really be a master at shooting games. I have potato aim sometimes, and my reaction time is also quite short, or rather not short, quite stunted in comparison to the average try-hard FPS player. But yeah, I normally play with friends Rainbow Six Siege. I have dabbled into Destiny 2 every now and then, depending on my attention span. And recently, I've also been very addicted to Cyberpunk 2077, especially because they also added the new patch, which I have played off stream, unfortunately. To address your comment, Shihar, you said FPS but no Apex or Valo, either CS:GO. Okay, so Apex I used to play. I played Apex for a really long time on Twitch, and I even went through a couple of seasons with friends. The reason that I left was actually because, quite frankly, there was a point where the game just got really buggy, and the cheaters and overall mentality of the players kind of, at the time anyway, it just kind of ruined it for me. I'm gonna be honest about that. Like, part of what makes me fall out of love with the game is either how the devs treat the game, but also there's the way that players treat other players. If the community doesn't welcome you in, or if the community is very eager to kick you out, then it's not worth staying, in my opinion. I might consider taking up Apex again though, because like I've been seeing a lot of the previews and I've heard from people that like the game has definitely gotten better. And watching the gameplay, I have gotten interested, but ultimately I'm not entirely sure yet. As for Valo and CS:GO, I am sorry to disappoint, but I will not be playing either of those games on my channel, and nor ever, like, even off stream. The reason is because like I said, I have I have potato aim and very poor reflexes, and I have the tendency to, like in Siege, shoot while moving. And I know that Valo and CS:GO, being very tactical, they discourage that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just not to my taste. I would like it if I could aim at someone's head and, you know, even if it takes me a million years to get the aim right, if I click on their head, I want the bullet to go in that direction. The way I phrase it is this: when I play Valorant and CS:GO and I'm aiming at someone's head, if I didn't clip my left toenail and I suddenly take a deep breath, the bullet will miss the target entirely, go through my monitor and hit the neighbor's dog. Biggest mistake ever from a Brim player. Brim was actually my main. Like, I actually had 2 mains back in Valorant when I used to play. I played Brim and Omen back when the roster was very limited. Hello, Ned. Welcome. We'll talk more about you later. Anyway, so yes, I am on YouTube. Anyway, for the remainder of the list of games, we have League of Legends. I know what I said about I don't want a community that's just willing to kick me out at the first sight of me, but understand that. But like, League of Legends is one of the very odd exceptions that I have. The game is frustrating in a community level. The players are toxic, I know, and especially in my server where no one knows how to read. But I can't get away from it. Like, I got addicted to it back in college, and I'm addicted again now, and I just can't get away from it. So you can expect that I'm probably gonna bring League of Legends streams either to YouTube or to keep it on my Twitch, which again we will talk more about later. In the gacha realm of games, of course, I have to have at least one gacha game. Fate Grand Order is definitely there. I've been playing Fate Grand Order on and off for at least 5 years. For quite a while, actually. I remember, I think it came out even when I was in college. But in any case, there's a lot in that game that both excites me and frustrates me. So it's like I've been in an on and off with it. Uh, so yeah, and a very special mention as we tip our hats and raise our glasses in memory of one of the best music rhythm games that ever graced the arcades, that unfortunately the developer decided to pull the plug on, and breaks my heart to this day. DJ Max Technica, rest in peace. Rest in peace all of the hours that I put into that game. All right, let's move on to the enough sadness. Let's move on to the next part. Yes, I have more likes here. Don't worry, we'll try to get through these really quickly. So food, very self-explanatory. I like a lot of food, okay? But as someone of an Asian point of view, I very much like anything that has rice. Rice has to be an integral part of the meal. So if it's like stuff like chicken adobo, spam, bacon, like I will most unless rice is not available, I will adamantly refuse to eat a meal without rice. It's just that much an integral part of my meal. And then we have Japanese food. If we're talking like specific if you have specific cuisine, I freaking love Japanese food, specifically sashimi. I love ramen, I love udon, I love rice bowls and everything, but sashimi will forever be something I will not reject. Especially salmon. Good lord, give me some very nice salmon sashimi, and ooh, you'll just be hungry without 3 cups of rice. I need the rice. I need it. I'm Asian. I need it. Okay, burgers, pasta, and pizza. As a certified geek, 7 days a week, these are fuel for me. Okay, burgers are probably the only exception to the rice rule, because of course it's better to eat burgers as a sandwich than with rice. But yeah, this is geek fuel. You need this. Drinks. For non-alcoholic drinks, I particularly enjoy milk tea, iced tea, and fruit drinks. That can be like fruit shake or just fruit juice. But specifically, I prefer orange and mango flavored fruit drinks. For alcoholic drinks, I love Bailey's Irish Cream, Tequila Rose, Mud Shake, and red wine. And I know I'm a bartender, but you're gonna completely be disappointed when you see my dislikes page. But yeah, for red wine, I highly recommend the 2 brands I mentioned there, Hope's End and Yellowtail, both of which are Australian brands, oddly enough. Hey, I love Australian wine. It's really good. Music. I just want to kind of get through these quickly. For music, I listen to a lot of music, and in the recent years, I've kind of like mostly shifted more towards the Japanese side of things, because there was a point where I started to feel like English music just sounded the same. But there are those rare gems, and I've at least identified that when it comes to music, I have specific genre tastes. So I like rap, more specifically lyrical rap, not that mumble rap BS. Like I like lyrical rap where they just bounce to the beat. And they're very clever with the phrasing and wording of things. So like notable examples, obviously Eminem, that's one. Another example would be the This Is War series by Falcon Shield. Maury Calliope, a VTuber who is very much who has released a lot of rap, and I love her music. Then there's J-pop, J-rock, and alt-rock. I love music where I can just jam to it, and like also I don't care if it's like annoyingly earwormy at times. It depends on the song. Baby Shark will forever be on my blacklist. That song will forever. I hope that song just eventually burns somewhere. But if we're talking about like earwormy songs that I oddly enjoy, unironically, then look no further than Caramel Dancin' from the early 2000s. I love Caramel Dancin' to an almost unapologetic degree. Music that Fiery Joker finds good. Well, you know, they're like Fiery Joker's tastes, like since we're on the topic of Fiery Joker, like I love his channel, but sometimes his taste I guess he has a very more sophisticated taste compared to mine. I'll say that much, because I'm not gonna lie that my music is pretty much like, if I hear it and it's not something I can really describe, it's just, you just kind of feel the music. If you don't feel it, then you're not gonna like it. Then we have composers. Oh god, composers. Okay, like I said, I'm not very much into details, and I don't always look for specific composers. But honestly, if you tell me that the following people made a song, it will be on my playlist: Shoji Meguro, Hiroyuki Sawano, and Yuki Hayashi. If you don't know who these people are, Shoji Meguro is the main composer of pretty much every Persona game. Hiroyuki Sawano, for those of you who do not know, may I implore you to look up something called the Sawano Drop. You can look up for animes such as Attack on Titan. I think he also did what was that? Guilty Crown. I think he was also the composer of Guilty Crown and Recreators, which I mentioned was one of my favorite animes, and Hiroyuki Sawano being the composer was one of the factors behind that. But Yuki Hayashi is a recent addition to my list because if you've, like I mentioned earlier, My Hero Academia, the soundtrack for Hero Academia is so good. And every time, I love how Yuki Hayashi can somehow mix rap with orchestral accompaniment, and it blends so fucking well. Like, it's amazing to hear someone rapping while you have like a very high violin playing in the background, and it's playing to the exact same beat as the rapper, like every single syllable. If you want an example, there's like, again, just listen to the My Hero Academia soundtrack, or also look for a video game called Super Mecha Champions and listen to the opening. That was done by Yuki Hayashi as well. Books. Okay, these books are very subjective, but they are very much an integral part of my childhood. First is Harry Potter. I know the what's its and who's its of a certain someone who wrote the series, but understand that the book was still a very much integral part of my childhood, and I loved growing up with it. Cirque du Freak. Oh boy, another book that honestly I feel is underrated and isn't talked about enough. I feel like this book needs to be talked about more. It's a very fun take on, not fun, it's a very different take on vampires, even introducing like a sub-race of vampires. It honestly, I loved the story of it, and the fact that the first book made me cry already sold me. That being said, well, you know, we'll talk about Cirque du Freak more on the next page. For others, okay, so I know that this probably might not be relevant for me as a PNG, as a 2D VTuber, but I love dancing. Like I said, when music, you just feel the music, you can't help yourself sometimes. So we have I have two specific styles that I enjoy when it comes to dancing: hip hop and ballroom. As a matter of fact, hip hop is something I regularly still keep up to this day through a dance workshop that I join as a way to keep fit, or at least an attempt to keep fit. Ballroom, I loved ballroom to the point where I actually took up a specific class for it back in college by choice. People say that they usually end up in that class out of like they end up in that class against their will. I willingly chose this class when I was allowed to pick my own phys ed class back in college. My favorite page, dislikes. You may judge me now, but let's go over this really quickly. For my dislikes, I know I said I liked the book, but I absolutely despise the Cirque du Freak movie, and I feel that it did not do the books justice. I am one of those people that if I read the source material, and I will judge every adaptation of it until I am satisfied. And Cirque du Freak, I feel, really got shafted in that regard. It was such a disservice to the book, and I highly recommend that if you watch the movie and you liked it, please read the books. You'll enjoy the books a whole lot more. Please. Darren Shan deserves some attention. I honestly believe that. Second would be the Resident Evil movies by Paul W.S. Anderson. To be fair, Resident Evil Apocalypse was actually pretty okay. Like the second movie was pretty good, and I know the first one kind of got people excited. What I hate though is how the movies eventually just kind of did a disservice to the games that it was pulling the source material from, and it just felt like they were pulling let's face it, Paul W.S. Anderson was pulling shit out of his ass in the last few movies. I think even from the third movie he started to pull shit out of his ass. The Last Airbender, I think this is a universal dislike at this point, and I don't think I need to stress further on that. Minions and Angry Birds. Ooh. So Minions and Angry Birds, I hold these in my dislikes for the very reason that I see them as nothing more than cheap cash grab mascot movies that it feels like the developer is just trying to make money out of a very iconic mascot type character, and it is not to my liking. I'm gonna say that much. Now, whether or not Minions is actually good is a different story. I personally have not watched it. I found it just a bit too annoying. But if people say that the third one is good, I will allow people to enjoy it. Like, I don't mind, but I personally don't. Anime. I talked about Akamatsu Sensei earlier. I'm gonna talk about Akamatsu Sensei again. Akamatsu Sensei, I feel so sorry for you that all of your anime adaptations suck. The first Negima was really bad. The second Negima didn't even follow the manga. It followed the spin-off manga. The OVAs are just one-for-one shots made by Studio Shaft, which is a bit of an improvement, but also felt pretty lazy. Yukio Holder anime, complete deviation from the manga that breaks my heart to this day. I will forever be disappointed by that. Next, Evangelion. Okay, really quick. Listen, I know I love Studio Trigger and its predecessor Gainax, but Evangelion confused the fuck out of me, and no matter what you say, you cannot convince me to watch anything beyond part 1. I already watched the first Evangelion. I know people say that the movies made sense of it. I don't want to have to sit through the movies just to make sense of everything. So, we'll go with that. School Days? Have you ever watched something? Have you ever binged something, dedicated a whole lot of time to, only to end up with a payoff that did not actually pay off? That was School Days for me. I legit watched all 12 episodes in one day and regretted that decision immediately afterwards, to the point where I went back to the person I bought the DVD from and requested to return it because that's how bad it was. Thankfully, because I was a frequent customer, they allowed it. So I switched it. SAO. Okay, to be fair to SAO, SAO is interesting, and it is a good way to kind of get people into it's kind of a decent anime in terms of like integrating a video game world as a core part of the story. But eventually over time, as I watch more of it, when I notice just how much of a power fantasy it is, and that Kirito is just absolutely broken, and it just ruins it for me. Like, there's no surprises anymore. You know he's going to succeed, so he's gonna pull some bullshit out of his ass because, oh look, I'm such a regular guy, but suddenly I'm the smartest man in the world. Sorry, kind of went on a tangent there. Okay, what's next on the list? Video games. I only have two very, very distinct mentions I want to make. In the same vein as the other Resident Evil games, Operation Raccoon City is one of the ones that I absolutely disliked. And I actually am speaking from the point of view as someone who played Operation Raccoon City from start to finish. First off, the cutscenes were all bugged. The audio never synced with the cutscenes correctly. Second, the gameplay was broken in a lot of places. You could beat the game just by knife spamming everything. And your AI companions were dumb as rocks. Also, they made you kill Leon. Spoiler alert, but I don't fucking care. I'm spoiling it so you guys don't play that game. But please, they made you kill Leon, man. Come on. AC Syndicate. Okay, AC Syndicate I tried playing. I'm gonna be honest about this one. I tried playing it. I even tried streaming it last year on Twitch. But my issue with it was that it didn't feel like it had enough to hook you in. It pretty much just like threw you. It's like throwing you into a middle of a deserted island and say, figure it out. That's pretty much what it was like. And some people might like that. I particularly didn't. It was such a bore. There was nothing to really pull you in any direction. And it just felt like the entire time I was playing, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? is this helping at all? Is this helping the story at all? It's not like with AC, the Ezio trilogy, where there was progression and the progression made sense from a gameplay standpoint and a story standpoint. So hearing that they are going to be abandoning the RPG element and start to go back to the OG format of Assassin's Creed, because yes, I did hear about Assassin's Creed Mirage and Assassin's Creed Red. The fact that they've announced that actually has me a bit excited again for the Assassin's Creed franchise. Food and drink. Only two things to mention. Chicken gizzard. I do not like the taste of it. It's I can stomach it, but I don't like the taste of it. It's just, it tastes like rubber in my mouth. And we have beer. I know I'm a bartender, but I prefer wine, and I prefer my cocktail drinks and liquor over beer. Beer just doesn't do it for me. It tastes like vomit. Last two things to dislike. Toxicity and bullying. Don't mention League of Legends, please. I already know. We've discussed this. And too much fan service. Okay, wait. Let's get to for the toxicity and bullying. Look, I'm okay if it's like a friendly type of bullying when you're already familiar with someone. When you have that level of connection with someone, it's great. But when you have when people are just mean to you from the get-go for no reason, or they don't know you very well and they're mean to you, why? I don't see the point of it. This goes to, especially in video games, where people will just, they think that just because you're a random name on the internet, they use that as an excuse to just be mean to you. Even though I'm 17 and tried a bit of beer and downing half a quarter was yeesh. Well, then yeah, some people say it's an acquired taste, but honestly, I didn't like beer. Oh my god, I'm already 40 minutes and I'm not even halfway through this, I think. Too much fan service. Let's go over this really quick. So like I said, I know that I mentioned Akamatsu Sensei is one of my favorite mangaka, but like I'm gonna say that, like, if there's nothing else about movie, series, anime, video game, or manga, if there's nothing else going for it other than gratuitous fan service, with some exceptions, I will not be really interested, because like, you want it's called fan service. It's not, you're not supposed to drown the rest of the content because of it. Like, there are certain anime that I dislike simply because there was way too much fan service to the point where it was so hard to focus on everything else, and it just feels completely unnecessary. SAO being one of them. Because whenever they had fan service scenes, they decided, you know what? Let's go completely overboard with it. Anyway. Okay. Now that we're done with likes and dislikes, let's talk about, well, my form. So, I was a VTuber, or rather, I became a VTuber last year in October, and I have this person on screen to thank. So, Acrooks13, aka 13, is the artist who, based on my design, like my initial design, illustrated and then rigged the model. He's also a very prominent contributing artist to the channel, making things such as the speech avatars that you will see on stream for my friends. He has made some posters. He even made the poster of my YouTube debut. So I'd like to give him a humongous shout out for that. Pay no attention to the final word, to the last word that's scribbled out on his page. Let's move on. Oh shoot, wait, why is it like that? Sorry for that. Okay, so apparently my changes did not reflect on this page, but these are some other artists that I would like to give some attention to. Namely, these are contributing artists that have given a lot of assets and art to the channel that has been, I honestly feel, has been a very integral part of my channel for years now. The first one on the list is Shadadi. Her Twitter name is Golly Shadadi, and she streams on Twitch under the name Minty Tangerine. Shadadi has given a lot of great artwork to the channel, including the ending screen that you will see later. The second artist I want to highlight is Mintan Art, otherwise known as Corey. Give me a sec. I'm actually gonna try to update this image really quick so you guys can see this, because this feels unfair that apparently I did not save this. There we go. Okay, that's updated. So there. Mintan Art, also streaming on Minty Tangerine. Minty Tangerine is actually a shared channel between Shadadi and Corey. They regularly stream there on Twitch. A lot of chill art streams. And Corey has also given some great assets to the channel, including some behind the scenes stuff that I'm still working on that hopefully will appear on the channel soon. Last but not least, we have Sena. Sena uses the same username for both Twitch and Twitter, and she has given emotes and various artworks of my FF14 character that I absolutely love, which you will also see in art reels when I show them on screen eventually. But I wanted to give her a shout out as well. So thank you to these 3 artists and also to 13. You screenshot it. We will not talk about that, Fallout Fireboy. Alright, now let's talk the VIPs. So as I mentioned, I play a few multiplayer games like Rainbow Six Siege, Final Fantasy XIV, League of Legends, and these are the usual people that will appear on my streams as such. These are my closest friends to this day. I have spent a lot of time with these people and I enjoy their company to the point where I am always open to doing collaborations with them and having them on my stream. So we have, very quickly, just to go over the roster, we have Ned, who also has his own Twitch and YouTube channel, which you will eventually see. There's Azure, Jetspy, who we recently got a new gaming PC for during a fundraiser. Dahlia, 13, who is not only my artist, but also one of my closest friends and is also part of the VIPs. And Panda, a recent addition. Who is that? Who is Ned? Shut up, Ned. That's you. Don't you try to weasel your way out of this, Ned. But yes, Ned will be making his own appearance soon, either on my streams or on YouTube. And yeah. But this is my usual crew of VIPs, and you can catch us on either Twitch or on my future streams on YouTube when I play multiplayer games. Okay, now we come to one of the best parts. If you guys want to keep up, you can take note of the following tags in social media that I have up. For my Twitter and my Twitch, they both use the same name, Kaz Bar VT. That is capital K, capital B, and a capital V and T at the end. Kaz Bar VTuber, basically. And it was a decision I made last year to change the brand name to that, just to keep up with it. And make sure you follow me on both, because I will be streaming both on YouTube and on Twitch for various things. And if you want to know where I'm going, like which platform I will be streaming on, I make all those announcements via Twitter. For my live tag, whenever I go live, or if you want to share any screenshots or moments from my streams, you can use the tag Kaz Bar Open. That way I can look for it later on. For the art tag, this was decided last year between me and the mods. If you guys would like to contribute any fan art that I can showcase on stream, or if you would just like to capture your favorite moment in an artwork, please use the hashtag KazBarArt. For fan name, because I love puns, me and the mods decided to lovingly call the fans Kaz Oku, which of course is my name, and of course it means family. So it's kind of wholesome and kind of badly punny at the same time. And last but not least, if you have any clips that you'd like to share, please make sure you tag it appropriately with the hashtag recast. I'm kind of like bringing back an old tag that we never got to use, but I'm going to be using the term recast to capture that. So if you guys have any clips of that, please feel free to share that on Twitter or tag it as such on YouTube, and I hopefully will be able to find some. And now for the last page, content breakdown. Okay, so as I mentioned previously, I have been streaming on Twitch for about 3 years now, and I've actually streamed for a really long time, even before that. And I recently decided to jump and try my hand at streaming on YouTube. So here's the thing, because of the way that YouTube's copyright system works, here's how I'm going to be breaking down my streams. Because I'm going to be retaining my streams on both platforms for a while, or at least until a point where I've decided one platform is better than the other. So for YouTube, you can expect I'm going to be doing a lot of more of my variety stuff and single player games like Yakuza Kiwami, Spider-Man, Titanfall 2, Persona 3 Portable and 5 Royal, and other PS2 games. You can expect these games to actually come up over the next year, especially the first one. And then we have multiplayer games like Rainbow Six Siege, Rainbow Six Extraction, and GTFO. And in short, basically my selection process for what's on YouTube will be games that I will most likely have to turn on in-game music or in-game sounds on. It's not something that I will just have my own playlist playing in the background. This is stuff that is actually this is to help avoid the whole DMCA and copy strike nonsense. Now for Twitch. For Twitch, I will be retaining the following games on that channel: Art Streams, Final Fantasy XIV, and League of Legends. League of Legends might still make an appearance on YouTube, but for now, for sure, that will stay on Twitch. And the reason is, as pointed out in the last bullet point, any stream where I will listen to non-game music. Because sometimes you listen to the music and you're just like, okay, I've heard this enough times, I kind of want to listen to my own thing. And I have my own playlist for that. So I'll be playing that over on Twitch, which, as I mentioned on the previous page, you can follow with the following username, Kaz Bar VT. Okay, that's it. There is one more thing I would like to insert here, but I hope you guys caught up to everything, and I hope you guys enjoyed flipping through the Kaz Bar menu. And I really much hope that you will also look forward to what I do here on YouTube. Speaking of which, let's put this away. Let's bring this up. So this is my schedule for the week. I will be streaming my first ever variety stream on YouTube starting tomorrow, where I will be playing Yakuza Kiwami for the very first time. This is gonna be my first time playing this amazing game. I've heard it's bonkers and I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm playing that all 3 days of my planned streams this week. Thursday will be at 10 p.m. That's tomorrow. Saturday and Sunday will be at 8 a.m. in the morning at my time. All of these times are in GMT+8. I will repost this on my Twitter with updated schedules for both Eastern time and Pacific time. But for reference, all of these are in Singapore time. That's GMT+8. If you're not sure about the conversion, my 10 p.m. is converted currently to Eastern Daylight Savings Time at 10 a.m. as a reference. So yeah, you can just look up the time zone GMT+8. And I think that should be it. So then, what do you think of the place so far? I hope you guys enjoyed your stay here. And although people come in here lost the very first time, whenever they return, it's of their own choice. And I hope that I get to meet even more of you. I get to welcome more of you to my bar, and you guys get to enjoy your stay here. Enjoy the drinks, enjoy the laughs, and just have fun. That in the end, that's all we want to do. So that's all for today. I'm gonna take the time to prepare for tomorrow, and for the first time ever, I'm gonna say this on YouTube. Thank you for coming for today's stream. The Kaz Bar is now closed, and drinks will be waiting for you guys when you come back. I'll see you all tomorrow for Yakuza Kiwami. Good night.